Above the United States, there is no visible roof. No wall of metal curves across the horizon. Yet a new military project imagines something that sounds impossible. A shield capable of detecting and stopping an attack before it reaches American soil. In January of 2025, the White House ordered the development of a next-generation homeland missile defense system. First called Iron Dome for America, it was soon renamed Golden Dome. Its mission is far broader than the Israeli system that inspired the original name. It is intended to confront ballistic missiles, hypersonic weapons, cruise missiles, and other advanced aerial threats launched by regional powers or major nuclear rivals. The United States already has layered missile defenses. Satellites and radars watch for launches. Ground-based interceptors in Alaska and California defend against a limited long-range attack. Aegis ships, THAAD, and Patriot cover other threats and regions. Golden Dome would connect existing defenses to new sensors, command networks, interceptors, and capabilities on land, at sea, and in space. The original order also called for orbital interceptors designed to strike missiles during their boost phase, as well as non-kinetic methods and options to defeat an attack before launch. American officials describe the concept as a system of systems, not one machine or a literal dome. Every layer would have to detect, identify, track, communicate, decide, and engage within minutes. Supporters argue that such a shield could protect cities, critical infrastructure, and the country's ability to respond after a nuclear strike. For years, Homeland Missile Defense focused mainly on limited attacks from states such as North Korea, while nuclear deterrence remained the answer to large Russian and Chinese arsenals. Golden Dome seeks protection against a wider range of opponents and weapons. The president presented an estimated cost of $175 billion and a rapid path to operation. More than $24 billion was later approved for related efforts. By the middle of 2026, work was advancing on prototype orbital interceptors and 36 satellites for missile warning, tracking, and defense, intended to be available for launch by the end of 2028. Yet the full architecture, final cost, and proven timetable remained uncertain. The dream is clear. The structure behind it is not. And before asking whether Golden Dome could prevent a war, we must first ask whether a shield this vast can actually be built. To understand the challenge, imagine an intercontinental missile rising from the ground. During the boost phase, its engines burn brightly, making the launch easier to detect. But this opportunity lasts only about 3 to 5 minutes. An interceptor must be close enough, fast enough, and correctly positioned before the window closes. That is why space-based interceptors are so attractive and so difficult. Satellites follow fixed orbital paths rather than hovering over one location. To guarantee that an interceptor is near a launch at the right moment, many vehicles may be required across several orbital planes. Defending against more missiles launched from more places demands a larger constellation and a more complex command network. If the boost phase is missed, a ballistic missile enters mid-course, coasting through space. This stage can last as long as 20 minutes. But the defender may face warheads, debris, and decoys traveling together. The system must identify the real threat before committing a limited number of interceptors. The terminal phase offers one final chance, but only near the target and with little time. Cruise missiles create a different problem by flying low, where terrain and Earth's curvature can hide them from distant radar. Hypersonic glide vehicles may maneuver during flight, making their future path harder to predict. Golden Dome depends on much more than missiles. It needs sensors that can maintain continuous custody of a target, communications that can pass tracking data without delay, and command software capable of combining information from land, sea, air, and orbit. Every handoff costs precious seconds. Then comes the problem of scale. A defense that performs well against one target may face saturation when many weapons, decoys, drones, or cruise missiles arrive together. Interception is often compared to hitting a bullet with another bullet. Advocates say many of the necessary technologies already exist, and that integration is the central task. Critics point to testing, industrial capacity, orbital coverage, and cost. Government estimates for far more limited space interceptor concepts have already reached hundreds of billions of dollars over decades. Golden Dome would not need to be perfect to affect an enemy's calculations. Even an uncertain defense could complicate a limited strike. But disrupting a small attack is very different from stopping the arsenal of a nuclear superpower. That difference leads directly to the most dangerous part of the story. In nuclear strategy, defense does not always look defensive from the other side. For decades, strategic stability has rested on a terrifying idea. If two nuclear powers know neither can eliminate the other's ability to retaliate, both have a reason not to strike first. This surviving force is called a second strike capability, creating restraint through the certainty of unacceptable loss. Golden Dome enters that balance as an American shield, but China and Russia judge it from outside the shield. In a joint statement, Beijing and Moscow described the project as destabilizing and warned that orbital interceptors could turn space into an arena of armed confrontation. China separately said the program could increase the risk of an arms race and conflict in space. These were warnings, not a declaration of war, if Golden Dome continued. The concern is a possible chain of reactions, not a confirmed future. Imagine that one nation improves its ability to strike an opponent's missiles before launch and intercept whatever survives. Even if intended as protection, a rival may fear that its retaliatory force is becoming less reliable. It may respond with more warheads, decoys, dispersed launchers, or threats against the satellites that make the shield function. This is the security dilemma. One side's attempt to become safer can make another side feel less safe. American officials argue the opposite. Stronger defense can reinforce deterrence by denying an attacker confidence that a strike will succeed, while protecting the American capacity to respond. Both positions contain logic and national self-interest. Orbital missile defense interceptors would not automatically become anti-satellite weapons, but placing them in orbit would deepen military activity around early warning, navigation, communication, and reconnaissance spacecraft. China, Russia, and the United States already possess or are developing ways to interfere with space systems. Golden Dome would not begin the military use of space, but it could expand it. The Outer Space Treaty prohibits nuclear weapons and other weapons of mass destruction in orbit, but it does not explicitly ban every conventional interceptor. This leaves part of the debate in a legal and strategic gray zone. The greatest danger may not be a planned attack, it may be misinterpretation. If satellites suddenly fail during a crisis, is it a technical fault, a limited warning, or the opening move of something much larger? When decisions must be made in minutes, uncertainty itself becomes a weapon. A real conflict in space would not begin with astronauts exchanging fire. It could begin invisibly. Radio signals might be jammed or falsified. A cyber attack could penetrate a satellite operator or a ground station. Lasers might temporarily dazzle optical sensors. A spacecraft could approach another closely enough to cause alarm without firing. These actions can be limited, reversible, and hard to attribute, making them useful below the threshold of open war. Kinetic destruction would be dramatic and far more dangerous. Striking a satellite can create debris that continues circling Earth at enormous speed. Those fragments do not recognize flags and can threaten spacecraft belonging to countries outside the confrontation. Golden Dome could make its tracking and command satellites early targets during a crisis. Blinding the shield might improve the chances of a missile attack, but an assault on early warning systems could be interpreted as preparation for a nuclear first strike. A limited action in orbit could trigger decisions on Earth before either side understands what happened. The consequences would not remain military. Modern societies depend on satellites for navigation, communications, weather observation, emergency response, and precise timing. GPS helps synchronize telecommunications, electrical systems, and financial transactions. Losing some services would not switch off civilization instantly. Backups exist, and damage would depend on which systems were affected. But widespread disruption could reach ordinary people before they knew a conflict had begun. There is another possibility. Golden Dome could drive better sensors, more resilient satellites, and cooperation with allies. It might reduce the danger from a limited or accidental missile launch. It might also encourage rivals to expand their arsenals and target systems above Earth. Both outcomes remain possible because crucial tests, costs, and deployment choices are unresolved. The deepest question is not whether technology can place a shield in the sky. It is whether any nation can build that shield without changing how every rival prepares for war. For most of human history, the night sky seemed distant from our conflicts. Now, systems moving silently through it guide ships, forecast storms, connect continents, and watch for attack. Golden Dome is presented as protection from catastrophe. Its meaning will depend on whether it supports stability or gives nations another reason to fear what is hidden above them. Thank you for watching Silent Nature Mysteries. Subscribe and join us for the next story.